and welcome to my channel. My name is Tara Arnold, and today I'm going to be discussing how I started channeling St.Germain, how he came into my life, how I've been working with the Ascended Masters. And so for anybody who's starting to work with them or starting to channel them, maybe some of this information will help, because I've gotten this question like 3 or 4 times in the past few weeks. So I figured there's a reason, and so I thought I'd do a video on it. So I'll start from the beginning. So as a child, I would be connecting with my spirit guides in the sense that before I had any forthcoming danger or anything, they would warn me. And I would hear them very clearly in my ears if somebody's standing next to me talking. And so if I was about to get in an accident or somebody was about to pass away that I loved, then they would give me the message, but they also always gave me a knowing not to share that information, or they gave me a sense of calmness, of being loved, of like a Christ consciousness energy that I just was kind of engulfed in, that everything was going to be okay and everything was going to be fine. And I think that that happened because I was such a sensitive child. I was very empathic and quite sensitive to everything, was quite emotional. So they would calm me down before an incident would happen. Now, I thought this was normal. I thought everybody experienced that, and so I didn't think much of it. And it is normal for a lot of people. I just, like, in my experience, it was just always there. And then, so that was what always kept my faith. So I never wavered from my faith. I always trusted and believed, and I always had a lot of fun working with the guides growing up, because I would just jump into anything and try anything, because I was like, oh, they'll always protect me. Like, I can go out and hitchhike and in the middle of the night and go to a party, meet new people, because my guides are always going to be taking care of me. They're always going to be watching me, watching over me. So it gave me a lot of freedom that way, a lot of confidence to let go of fear and just try anything at any time. Now, of course, I did get into some strange and rough predicaments, but I always got out of them, and I did end up with lots of injuries and stuff from being kind of careless and reckless. I also had a lot of addictions in my teenage years and growing up, and that's normal, I think, with a lot of empaths, the addictions, because we have a lot of creative energy and we're feeling stuff all the time, and so it just kind of numbs that pain. So over the years, I kind of got away from connecting with Source as I was in my teenage years and my partying years and my 20s. I kind of was a little bit reckless and didn't really pay much attention to the spiritual aspect of myself. So in 2010, although I was always still intuitive and in tune with things, and you know, I would play around with tarot cards and stuff like that. But in 2010, I was a nurse, and I was moving from doing nursing. I had had an injury at work, and so I went back to school, and I was taking these natural therapy courses, and I was also starting to take energy healing courses. So I started doing that. But it was 2010 that I woke up one day and I was like, oh, I'm here to do something spiritual. Prior to that, I had been taking these courses, and these energy healing courses had kind of opened my channel. Let's just put it that way. I'm sure if a lot of you have had that experience where you're doing, you know, you go take a Reiki course and all of a sudden, like, everything's just flooding in from the universe, all this information. So that's kind of how it happened for me. And so I was doing these natural therapy treatments. I was an innate practitioner, and I left nursing and started having clients doing that. And when I was doing that, I was receiving messages from the Christ consciousness to give to my clients. And at first I wouldn't give the messages because I didn't really feel comfortable with it, because I was scared of their reaction to it, but then my clients kind of get pulled away, and the spirit guides are like, well, if you're not going to give our messages, then we won't bring you the clients. So I started feeling comfortable. If I had a client and they weren't comfortable with receiving messages, I wouldn't get any messages for them. But if they were comfortable with receiving messages, I would get messages for them. So that's how that went for a few years. The way the messages came in, they came in as thoughts. Like, I used to hear my guides very clearly speak out loud, but then as my consciousness expanded and I started blending my energies with them, it was like they were coming in as thoughts, but they weren't my thoughts. And that's the way, like Saint Germain showing me, it's the way a lot of people are channeling now. It's like a blending of energy. So our spirit wants to be part of the channeling, so it's blending our energies with our spirit guides. So after I did that for a few years, I came across trance channeling, and I was like, oh, I want to try that would be fun. But I could not yet hold their frequencies. So that between when I started doing conscious channeling and trance channeling, it took about 9 years, because I had to clear out all my chakras of all the dense, heavy energy that came in, like that I was vibrating in, before I could hold their frequencies to trance channel. Now, that's not going to happen with a lot of people right now, because it depends on like when you came onto the planet, how light you were when you came onto the planet, how much conscious expansion you had. So it's like every generation before us is more dense energy. So every time there's a new generation born, they come in with a higher frequency or a more conscious expansion of their soul expansions, more vibrating in more divine love, and they also come in with more knowledge from the generation before. So each generation is more consciously expanded. So when I was born, it was in 1970s. It was more than 1975, so it was quite a dense energy. So I had a lot of belief systems that I still had to transmute back to love before I could hold and blend my energies to trance channel with Saint Germain and the Ascended Masters. So that took about 9 years, I'd say, between like consciously channeling and trance channeling. Like, I continued to consciously channel, I'd give messages. They would come in as light frequencies and my brain translates them, and that's how I do trance channeling as well. It's a blending of energies. So, 50 years ago, we weren't consciously expanded enough to fully blend our energies with our guides, so they would fully take over when you would go into trance. So 50 years ago, 80 years ago, if somebody was to trance channel, the spirit would fully come in and take over, because we weren't consciously expanded enough to blend our energies with them. Like, we just weren't awake enough. So now we're all awakening. The way the guides are doing it is they're blending their energies with ours, and then our spirit wants to be a part of the trance channeling. So you're consciously trance channeling. So you're conscious while you're in deep trance. And the deeper you go into trance, the more of your spirit guides, like personalities and the way they express themselves, will come out. So it was a few years, like I said, about 9 years of just really working with the guides to clear out my chakras. Now, that came in a lot of different ways. There was a lot of past lifetime stuff that I had to see in my third eye and experience before I could start channeling Saint Germain. And then one day I had a client come in, and she knows who she is, so I'll just say hi. So she came in, and now we're good friends, but at the beginning she was my client, and she had worked with Saint Germain in a past lifetime, and so she was there as she already knew his frequency, so it was like just easier for me to kind of recognize him, and I had somebody there that already worked with him. So when she would come in for a natural therapy treatment, and then Saint Germain introduced himself and said he was going to be working with me, bringing through frequencies through my chakras to the clients, and that's how it started. So as I would sit there, Saint Germain would blend his energies with mine, and it was really, really heavy at first. But the reason it felt so heavy, like he felt like he was 1,000 pounds, it was just because physically I wasn't used to his vibration. So it's his vibrational frequency of divine love that I still wasn't, like I hadn't gotten used to it. So the first few times he came in, his energy was really, really heavy until my body adjusted to it and how he was going to be working with me. So at first it was just a lot of heavy energy, but it wasn't heavy in the sense of something dark or bad. It was just heavy because my physical body was not used to such a high frequency of love. So at the same time that I felt heaviness, I felt divine love in my heart. Like I could tell it was divine love that I was into, like blending my energies with. And then he would do sound healing at the beginning, like sound healing coming out for like healing sessions. And at the same time, like the Ascended Masters will go in and out, and I can feel them bringing through different energies, different frequencies, and different light healing frequencies. Well, they say everything's already healed, like we're not broken, but they're bringing through light frequencies to transmute fears back to love, and they bring it through my chakras, which like I'm the channel for it. I don't do anything, but they come in and then say that they're working with a client, and they come in through the heart chakra. It might be, you know, Jesus energy coming through with, it's like a green light frequency, and I can see it and feel it, and it comes through my heart and chakra, and then the person that would be my client would feel it in their heart chakra. So that's how it started. And then eventually Saint Germain just kept telling me to speak, and so that took another 4 months before my ego could get out of the way to actually allow that. I had to clear a lot of past lifetimes of like just religious possession beliefs and just fears, big fears. So once I get past that, and I went to speak, so as soon as I said the first word, he took over. So what happens is when you trance channel, the right brain and left brain start to work together. So the spirit guides bring in light language, and then the brain translates it. So my brain will grab whatever word that I'm most familiar with. So whatever in my brain for vocabulary is to match their light frequency, that's the word I'll grab. So if I was channeling for a client and they use the word God, and the last client used the word universe, then my brain will grab the word universe because that was what I last channeled. But then Saint Germain will say, oh, that person doesn't use that terminology. He'll back me up. That's when he's always saying, one moment please, and he backs me up, and he'll say, look, this person uses the word terminology God, so then I'll change it to whatever terminology that person uses. So it's when you go to channel, whatever terminology your brain finds to match that light language frequency is what it's going to grab. So that's why you could go to another channel and you would get a similar message, but it might be a little bit different because everybody's brain will grab a different word based on their education, their upbringing, what terminology they use. So that's kind of how it works. It's a lot of fun. The physical body is the channel, and then the inner child brings in the joy. So if my inner child's not with me while I'm channeling, it doesn't feel fun, it doesn't feel exciting. I have to ask her permission before I create, so she's my creative energy, and then the mental body is the what does the translation, and then the spiritual body blends their energies with Saint Germain, the Ascended Masters, and then the emotional body, I feel all these emotions and what emotions they're transmuting and what emotions they're showing me. And then in my third eye, I can see like pictures, so it's like putting a puzzle together. So they're bringing in the words, but I'm also smelling things, tasting things, seeing things in my third eye. I'm feeling things, and all of it together is like, it's like building a puzzle, and then that's when the words come out. So it's like everything together gets translated. So I could be like having light language come in and translating it at the same time. In my third eye, I could be seeing something like say a backpacker going up a mountain. So I know that Saint Germain's showing me that this person's having like a struggle of some kind where they've had to work hard to get to the next level in something. So they give me little symbols, and then I might smell and taste something that goes along with that, and then the one sentence comes out, and it comes in really, really rapidly. So it's very, very fast, and it's a lot of divine joy, a lot of divine love. It's very creative, and it's a lot of fun. And at the same time that I'm channeling while I'm in trance, like the deeper I go, the more of his personality I feel. So when Saint Germain comes in, his personality that I feel is what the personality had in his last lifetime. So I feel he feels very astute. His posture's really, really straight. He's very matter of fact, but he's also really funny. He likes riddles. He likes to joke around. So as I'm channeling, there's another aspect of me that's joking around with him and talking to him while I'm in trance. And then I can ask him questions. So it's like two different aspects of my spirit is working with him. One is doing the translation into the video or for the video, and the other one is talking to him. And then when they bring in other guides, like he'll say, oh, Mother Mary's coming in, or Jesus, when Jesus comes in, my head will turn to the left. When Buddha comes in, my head turns to the right. So they just show me, and then I can feel their different frequencies coming in. I always translate through Saint Germain, but I can channel the other Ascended Masters as well. Or he's reminding me that it's always up to us. It's our game, not our spirit guides. So as long as you're matching the vibrational frequency of divine love, if that's what your intention is and you're channeling from the heart, then whoever you call in as a guide, if you match the frequency that they're bringing in, you can channel them. So it's up to you who you play with in like, well, they're in spirit form and you're in human form. So it's like your playground and your game, and who you choose to have your friends with in human form, it's the same way. So who do you choose to play with in spirit form? So the reason I chose to work with guides is because it's more fun for me. My inner child likes to have friends. Some people, like Eckhart Tolle, he channels universal energy. He doesn't put an identity to them. But if you choose to, you can channel different light beings. They'll come to you if you match their frequency of the messages that they want to relay, and it's just letting go of all the fears that you have around it. And sometimes that takes years. Like it took me a few years before I could allow myself to trust enough to like have them speak. And it's quite natural for all of us. Everyone has channeled in other lifetimes. It's a very natural state. It's more natural than actually talking. Like talking right now for the camera is very uncomfortable for me, but if I was in trance and channeling, it's very natural. It feels very easy. So it's actually more hard to talk from my head than it is my heart. at this point in my life. So if you're finding that you're wanting to channel, everybody can channel. Just ask your guides to help you, or put the intention you want to channel universal energy for the highest good, and start connecting with that. I would lay in meditation to get started, and calm my thoughts, and just invite the guides in to see what would happen. At the beginning, my body shook a lot because the energies were really dense, so they were bringing in frequencies to transmute fear back to love within each chakra, so there was just a lot of shaking. And then at one point, when I shut my eyes, there was a lot of light flashing in my third eye, and that's it felt like I was in a trance state, and that just happened very naturally. It wasn't scary, it was interesting. I didn't really know what it was at first. It took me a little while. And then the most important part is to be grounded. You want to be fully grounded to Mother Earth, so that you can like connect with that high frequency. If you're not grounded, it's like you're not plugged in, and you need a grounding plug. Like every house has a ground, or every washer and dryer, or like your kitchen sink, everything goes to ground. So you need to be grounded in order to channel the frequencies. It's like energy coming in, right? So if you get grounded and then sit in a meditative state and just ask them to show you more things, or to give you guidance, then you'll get your answers. They're going to come in as a knowing. Saint Germain's saying that when you first start channeling your guides, it's going to come in as a knowing. It's going to come in as thoughts. You might not necessarily hear them. You might not necessarily see them outside of yourself. I don't see them outside of myself very often. If I do, it's in colors, or it's not like they walk up and start talking to you. They blend their energy frequencies with yours, and every one of us is going to see them in a different way. So it's whatever way that you're comfortable with. I tend not to feel that comfortable with spirits just being outside of me, like walking around. So I've seen, spirits a few times outside of myself, but I tend to just like to blend the energies and see them in a vibrational frequency of colors. And so that's how I work with them, but everybody's going to be different. So getting grounded, pulling your consciousness in fully so that you have all aspects of yourself, and all your energy is like a ball of light, and then expanding that out before you start to channel. And then asking your guides to come in. When you're done channeling, fully disconnect from your spirit guides. Command, they fully disconnect from you. We talked about it before, is that when you say the word command, it evokes the God within you to create your reality. So when you command your spirit guides be disconnected from you, they do not get offended. You don't have to worry about that, but really commanding what you're allowing in your reality. I always ask permission from my inner child, and then I start to channel. And then after I'm done channeling, before I start, I give gratitude, I ask permission from spirit, and then I say a prayer and bring in the guides. And then when I'm done, I give them gratitude for the experience, and then I disconnect from them fully. I command that I fully disconnect from them. I command they fully disconnect from me. And then I fully integrate my consciousness back into my body. If you don't do that after you're done channeling, then what happens is you'll be really off balance. You'll be hungry, shaky, feel weak, disorientated. So you really want to pull your consciousness back into your body and fully integrate it. And I say it a few times, I fully integrate my consciousness back into my body. It's safe to be in a human body. And I ground myself again, fully disconnect from all past lifetimes. I fully disconnect from anybody, like say I was channeling for like a client, I would fully disconnect from my client and all their past lifetimes, and I would command that they fully disconnect from me. I do that with pretty much everybody I talk to. I fully disconnect and command they fully disconnect from me. If not, I feel their energy all day, because we're all one energy, and the more I consciously expand, I can feel everything at all times. So if I'm not commanding what I'm allowing in this moment, then I'll just feel everything. So I'm like, even with my husband, I'm like, okay, I don't want to see how he's feeling. I command that he fully detach from me and I fully detach from him. I don't want to be shown how he's feeling right now, because I want to have my own experience. So you can have a choice on whether you're connected to all energy all the time, or are you what you're allowing in your reality. So I only allow when I'm channeling the spirit guides, that's when I'm connected, and then at other times I disconnect and they do not get offended. So really grounding, pulling your consciousness back in, because what happens is like aspects of you step out to make room for them to channel through you. So when you are finished grounding, pulling in, really integrating yourself back into your human body, telling your human body it's safe to be here, giving gratitude to your inner child for being such a great creative energy, and giving gratitude to your guides, and then expand out, and you can go on with your day without being off center. Drink lots of water, especially if you're trance channeling, because it takes a lot of water, because the water's like a conductor. So you need that. If I'm not having enough water, what happens, it feels like a wind-up toy that is running out of energy. So it's like your brain can't find the words. So if I'm channeling and I find that I'm just feel kind of like foggy in my head and I can't find the words that they're bringing in, it means that I need water. As soon as I have water, then the channeling starts again. So those are some tips that I have if you're going to get started channeling. If you're channeling Saint Germain, he's anybody who's watching this channel, this YouTube channel, resonates with him. He would love to work with you. He's a great, fun energy. You may feel him differently than I do, but you'll see the violet flame in your third eye. It's like, it's his sign that he's working with you. And but his energy, he's had lots of different lifetimes, so you might feel a different aspect of him than I do. You might be channeling a different aspect of him, I don't know, but his energy that I feel, he's really he's serious but funny. He's really astute and knowledgeable, and he's kind of matter of fact, and he gets a kick out of everything. He's quite humorous. So that's if you're feeling that, you know that he's working with you. He's trying to get your attention, and like I said, he's wanting to connect with everyone that's watching this. If you're open to receiving his energy, it's always your choice, not his. So if you're open to receiving, just say that you are and have fun channeling him. So I want to say thanks for watching my channel. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying these videos. And if you wanted to have any other questions that I brought up today, if you have any questions about it, just ask me in the comment section below. And have a great night. Thanks for watching.